Hello everyone! It has been a while since I gave you another video. However, I started the publishing of the comic and I love hearing your feedback. I myself have a couple of things I want to talk about in this video, especially the difference between making an animation and making a webcomic. As you might know, this project started out as an animation. I had made a rough version of the first minutes of the first episode. I had all the voices for the first episode and music made. And then I stopped the project. Well, there was quite a legit reason for that. It was too much. It took me too much time, too much money. And I was just not in the right mindset, not in the right groove for a long time. I just could not continue the animation project. On the other hand, I did not want to let the project go. I had invested over 3 years into the story, and I wanted to tell so much with these characters. I just wanted to keep the world going. Something you do not know, at least most of you do not know, is that I tried to make comics before, with different characters and different stories, but I tried to make some ideas reality. I was not happy with those comic ideas though. It was back in the days where I was writing my novel, and in that time the novel was more comedic. I tried to be more slapsticky. But my writing at the time was not at that point that I liked it. I actually thought at that time that I was not able to draw the same character repeatedly in the same way. But a couple of years later, when I started animation, well, the thing about making an animation is that you have to draw the same character in the same way over and over and over again. It is the whole thing, making every character drawing as alike as possible, while trying to make the character move and react and emote. So yeah, I did that, I got used to it, I found my style, I drew the characters time and time and time again for almost 3 years. So if my younger self would tell me the reasons why I would not want to make webcomic, the current me would laugh sarcastically and go, wait until you start animating. But I wanted to talk about the differences between animation and making a webcomic. And of course, this is all from my perspective, my experiences right now. If you yourself have other experiences or ideas, well, that's okay. I would love to hear how you are looking at the differences, and also tell me what you prefer. Do you prefer animation or do you prefer making a webcomic? I also want to put a little notice here, because just because I stopped the animation project and formed the story into a webcomic, it doesn't mean I stopped animating entirely. I still love giving life to 2D characters, and if you follow the webcomic on Tapas, you will find special pages where I made a short animation. But yeah, the differences. The first one is showing thoughts. When I started rewriting the script, I came across this difference right away. In animation, thoughts are implied, or you have to let the characters speak them out loud. If there is something I don't like in a movie, especially an animated movie, it is that someone is constantly narrating over what could be implied. Body language, non-verbal communication, the way a character speaks and how fast a certain reaction takes can all imply a certain mood or thought. However, with a comic or a webcomic, showing thought bubbles is almost necessary. You have less movement, less emotion per time fragment, you just cannot spell out what a character is going through without slowing down the story tremendously. So all of a sudden, I had to think about how Amora would think and what kind of language she would use in her thought bubbles. I already knew what Amora's character is. She is a bit naive and has a low self-esteem, especially at the start. So the voice in her head should be lacking pride. Moreover, she would tell herself all the things she does wrong. But in what way should I do that? The second one is effectiveness of non-verbal communication. Well, this is easy to explain. Animation can use all or most forms of non-verbal communication. The voice actor can use pacing and intonation to show an emotion or idea. The reaction to certain happenings can be shown in the animation. And mostly all of this is through voice or movement. All of this cannot be used in a webcomic. Therefore, non-verbal communication in a webcomic is limited. The same as with portraying thoughts. Not being able to use intonation and certain reaction events, I really need to use other ways to give enough information, which leads to how to use language. I had to rewrite so many things to give the characters the right amount of information and show the reader what is meant. Just showing a flyer without talking about it is out of the question. The reader needs to know what's going on. The amount of lines is a bit different as well. How much should you talk about one thing? What parts are important for the story? And what parts do convey what is happening and what can be shown in a single picture? A lot of extra information that can be conveyed by side characters or with non-verbal communication in an animation is not one-on-one converted into the webcomic. Some lines that were in the original script just did not work with the comic, and I rewrote a lot of stuff and actually added a lot of lines, especially to Amora, also to give way to her thoughts and show how she would think about certain ways. And all of this is also because of pacing. Pacing is a weird thing. I can feel exactly when something is off. If something feels too long or too short, something is crammed too fastly into a certain thing in animation, I dislike that part really quickly. Too many scene changes in a short period make me uneasy. Having it drawn out for too long makes me bored, and I really know when something is paced weirdly. So when I was working on my animation, I paid extensive attention to pacing. But how to translate this in a non-moving page? How do you pace a scene while also paying attention to the limitations of the page? It is something I struggle with the most and I will struggle with while making the comic. It is a shame because some ideas and even some of my favorite frames I made for the animation just do not fit in the comic because of pacing limitations. I have to cut certain items I wanted to include there because I would influence the pacing too much. It would be too slow for the reader to become invested in it. And sometimes I have to combine ideas into one frame to not slow down the story to an almost halt. But it also creates new ideas as well. So these are the most important differences I found while working on the webcomic. And I hope you found it as interesting as me to actually look at it and see how the different media works. If you want to read the comic, you will find the link in the webcomic in the description and hopefully see you there. But as a last thing, if you want to help me finish this comic, you can help in a few different ways. You can become a patron on Patreon. This will help a lot with achieving goals and making the comic more exciting. Getting an editor, having help with special pages, having more animated pages in there, and using music that I made and songs that I made actually for the animation to get into the comic, etc. You can already help for as little as $1 a month, and you will get extra perks like extra information of the background, you get extra lore, special drawings that are not anywhere else to be seen, and the higher the tiers, the more you get. For example, for $10 a month, I will create a one-page comic exclusively for you about your favorite character from the story. And for the few who will donate $50 a month, they will become a character themselves in at least one chapter of the comic. But like I said, you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, which is already a great help. If you want to make a one-time donation, you can also buy a shirt or hoodie or have a mug from the store, where the link is also in the description. I have both the t-shirts and the mugs, and I wear the t-shirts myself. I love the quality. Even after many wash cycles, the print is not flaky. I think the oldest one I have is already washed like 20-25 times, and it's still great quality. I love how true the colors are to what I made, and the shirt itself is very comfortable. I use them for working out, etc. If you cannot do any of the previously mentioned things, that is okay. This needs to be said. Especially during these times, you have to look after yourself. But if you still want to support a comic and this channel, you can do this by spreading the word. Please like the video and subscribe. Tell your friends about this or leave a comment. Anything you do is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. This is all for this time. See you soon.